If you had one shot or one opportunity to seize everything you ever wanted in one moment, would you capture it or just let it slip? Yo. His palms are sweaty, knees weak, arms are heavy. There's vomit on his sweater already. Mom's spaghetti, he's nervous, but on the surface he looks calm and ready to drop bombs. But he keeps on forgetting what he wrote down. The whole crowd goes so loud, he opens his mouth, but the words won't come out. He's choking how? Everybody's choking now. The clock's run out, time's up, over, loud. Snap back to reality. Oh, there goes gravity. Oh, there goes gravity. Choke. He's so mad, but he won't give up. Daddies, he know he won't have it. He knows his whole back to these ropes. It don't matter, he's dope. He knows that, but he's broke. He's so stagnant, he knows when he goes back to this mobile home, that's when it's back to the lab again, yo. This old rhapsody better go back to this moment and hope it don't pass him.
Listen, we can talk about the flag, but let's talk about... Wait.
And good morning, everybody, and welcome to Trending in the AM right here on BSM Media. We're live, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, YouTube. You know the drill. Hit that retweet button, that share button on Facebook and Twitter. Hit that subscription button on YouTube, thumbs up, and also head over to the YouTube page if you want to interact with the show. If you have questions for our guests today, we've got several guests lined up today. If you have any questions, anything you want to comment on, hit the YouTube page and go over there for the comment section. It's the best way to interact with the show. Like the example I put up on the screen, aim higher, and let's talk football. We got a jam-packed show today. We're going to talk football, all kinds of football. We got real football, American football that we're used to. And we also have El Parcero coming on later in the show to talk Philadelphia Union, Major League Soccer. We're going to talk all kinds of football today. We're brought to you by Manscaped, the leader in men's grooming products. Check them out, manscaped.com. Use promo code DSM at checkout to get 20% off, free shipping. Let them know Team DSM sent you, and also great products over there. So manscaped.com, promo code DSM. I am your host, Phil Stiefel. Follow me on Twitter at Beard of Knowledge. And I'm joined, as always, by my co-host, my man, my brother, Jason Voorhees at Mustang3651. How you doing, Jason?
What's up, brother? How you doing today?
I'm doing fantastic after a long day of travel yesterday.
Back to reality, just like this.
Dude, I left for the airport in Fort Myers at 2:45 afternoon yesterday. It's about a 25-minute drive. So I left for the airport at 2:45. We're pulling into the airport. We get a notification. Our 5:15 flight delayed till 5:40. All right, 25 minutes. Whatever. It's all good. Then when we get through, while we're in the security check line, we get another text message. Flight been delayed again till 6:15. Then we got another message. Delayed till 6:30. Then we got another message. Delayed till 7:15. We didn't take off till almost 7:30 last night.
Oh.
And then we do the flight. We get all the way there. We get off the plane in Philly. And all of a sudden, we get on 95, and it's backed up beyond belief, 95. It took me the 45-minute ride from the airport to my house took almost 2 hours.
Sixers game?
I didn't see a second of the Sixers game.
No, so I'm saying, is that why it was backed up?
No, they were paving 95, and it was 4 lanes down to 1. Yeah. You'd be surprised how much traffic at 10:30 at night on 95.
Yeah, I figured maybe because of the game.
So I left at 2:45. I didn't get home till midnight last night. It's a long travel day.
Yeah, you got to be hurting today.
Yeah, I'm going to be hurting. But I got a long day today. So we got to get started. So you guys know we do the football journey here on Trending in the AM. It's a series of interviews with some great clients, a pro-level sports talent agency. They represent a lot of football players and coaches, guys that are trying to get their shot in football, whether it's one of the arena leagues, whether it's the USFL, the XFL, some guys in the NFL and stuff like that. Vince has hooked me up with an excellent, excellent gentleman today to be our guest. I'm going to bring him up on the screen here. His name is Hakim Williams Jr. Let me unmute you there. So, Hakim, welcome to Trending in the AM. Thank you. I know you're out in the West Coast there. It's dark as can be in the background there because it's like 5:30 in the morning. But thank you for waking up and coming on the morning show today with us.
The pleasure's all mine. And just know you got to make some sacrifices sometimes. So getting up early wasn't an issue, but I'm just happy to be here.
All right. So why don't you tell our listeners a little bit about yourself, where you're from, where you got your start with football and the passion to play football and stuff like that.
So originally I'm from out here, California, SoCal. Born in West Covina, grew up in the Inland Empire, and the whole football aspect came from my older brother, who actually played semi-pro, played college ball, and just him being that male role model in my life just got me hooked onto football. And then I started playing tackle in middle school, played throughout high school, and was given the opportunity to play in college. And just from there on, it just kept on growing with my whole football dream, football mindset, and just like wanting to play the game that I truly love today.
Yeah. So I mean, you went to a smaller college. You went to Whittier College. Is that out there in Southern California as well?
Yes, sir.
And it's a Division III school, right?
Yes, sir.
Awesome. So I mean, you're a wide receiver, and I've watched all your YouTube highlights, man. I watched them from the Pro Level Sports page, your page. Um, First off, what do you think you do well and best as a wide receiver?
As a wide receiver, I feel I do well in the blocking aspect, as well as soon as I catch the ball and I have some separation from somebody, I could pull away from them. But I would strongly say in the blocking aspect, because I know receivers are expected to block, and that was something I worked on since like high school, like my senior year of high school, and just perfected it down the road.
Yeah, I mean that's. I mean, we were talking about it before. You know, I watched all your highlights, and I mean the one on the ProLevelAgents.com website. I mean, you know, all their highlights. They've got you getting behind a boatload of wide receivers, but they show you making some super difficult contested catches. You know, deep balls, fade, back shoulder fades, and stuff like that. Like I've always wondered, and I've never actually asked anybody I've interviewed this. How do you actually work on the concentration aspect of making one of those super difficult catches?
Honestly, it's just a matter of being an athlete and just adjusting to like the ball moving in the air. And that was something I was able to work on during the whole COVID year with one of my trainers, because I told him I was like I struggle with catching over the shoulder, tracking the ball, and that was like just a strong focus for me. So just me being an athlete and just me trusting, okay, the ball's gonna be over here. Like, let me just adjust and try and make a play. And
Mhm.
it's just truly believing and trusting in myself to make that catch. It's difficult, but I just continue to trust myself and knowing that I will make that play.
Yeah, and like I said, like I seen on your Twitter page, you got a pinned video, which is excellent of highlights that you said you and your friend had put together. And again, you guys should give Hakim a follow on Twitter. I mean, we're gonna talk basketball even. I mean, you got some basketball comments on there too. He's at HWJ_7. So give Hakim a follow on Twitter too, because again,
Thank
I
you.
saw your John Morant tweet the other day, and I'm going to ask you about John Morant and somebody else in a second. We will
Okay.
get to that. But your highlight video that's pinned to your page shows that you're so much more. You talk about blocking and other things. I love the highlight video you got pinned there. It shows your kick returning skills. It shows your blocking skills and all the other different things that you do. How important is it to be able to do other things like that to get a shot really in one of these other leagues or in any league, the NFL or anything like that?
Honestly, I feel it's like a big thing, especially for me being a smaller school guy, because I know guys that come from D1s, D2s, not saying they haven't made, but they have like a higher chance of getting to that next level when it comes to being a receiver. And since I came from a smaller school, I believe my way to get onto one of these teams, whether it's NFL, CFL, USFL, or even XFL, is through special teams. And whether I have to play special teams when I enter the league or when I get that opportunity, I would be totally okay with that. So that's why I try and focus on those things. Like, of course, I could play receiver, but working on those little things to get me to that next level, that's like something that I truly believe in.
So Hakeem, you mentioned earlier that you worked on areas that you struggled with. You spent extra time, obviously, in the COVID season and worked on those areas. Well, we have a wide receiver here in Philadelphia that was actually drafted in the second round, J-Jaw. I'm not sure if you're familiar with him. JJ Arcega Whiteside's actually his full name. I believe he
Okay.
played out in California in college.
He was a Stanford kid.
He's kind of in the sense, obviously a lot of people are labeling him a bust. What would you suggest for somebody like him that's already in the NFL now and is still struggling to kind of build a niche? Like what would your advice be?
I would say for him, because like of course he made it to the NFL, and I know some fans are very like crucial to when it comes to like giving criticism. I feel with him, he just has to work on the areas that he's struggling in just to better himself because I know you guys got Jalen Rieger over there too, and how he's like overshadowed by Justin Jefferson, and it's like he's a good receiver, but the fact is he's not focusing on the things that he's like struggling with. And I feel as a receiver or as a player, you got to focus on those areas that people give you criticism in. So if it's like, oh, I struggle with catching, all right, how can I get better? What can I do to get better? Oh, I struggle in blocking. What can I do to get better? How can I like perfect it? So just focus on where he's struggling in is something I could like advice I could give him.
Yeah, every wide receiver, every football player will go through struggles at some point in their career, high school, college, any pro level they play. And you mentioned Jalen Reagor, Jason mentioned Arcega-Whiteside. The mental aspect of the game as a wide receiver or a football player, period, is a tough thing, right? So, like, if you're starting to struggle, it could be a domino effect mentally for you. How do you get yourself out of that?
Honestly, I'm a lot different from a lot of people. For me, honestly, I pray about it and just learn from like my mistakes or learn from that like area that I was struggling in, pray on it, and then just keep it pushing because the longer you dwell on it, the longer it's gonna eat you up. And like you said, football is a mental game, and that's something I truly believe in. Like sports nowadays are very mental, and you can't be caught in the dumps trying to think of like, oh, I'm not doing so good here, I'm not doing so good here. It's like no, like okay, you did bad here, but in order for you to get better is like, okay, remember it, learn from it, and just keep it pushing. And like that's something that I like live off of.
Yeah, it's also the someone that you say, Jalen Reagor. Some of his biggest struggles are the fact that with this day and age, you're a young guy, Hakeem. Back when I was a kid, it was totally different um,
Hmm.
because there was no social media, and the social media aspect of now and the access that fans get to these players on a daily basis. We had a show, Jason. What was it, like 3 months ago, about the Jalen Reagor bullying? Because you
Yeah.
see, obviously Philadelphia fans have an excessive reputation, of being a little over the top. I try to change that, perspective of us fans. But the way the fans have access to these guys, and a guy like Jalen Reagor, he's on social media all the time. He's reading all these negative comments. It's almost to the point where if you're trying to make it or if you're struggling, you just need to turn social media off and just block out the outside noise and just focus on what you're doing. And what got I say it all the time. You don't just get drafted in the first round unless you have some talent, So
Yeah.
that outside noise has to be blocked out somehow.
Oh no, I agree with you 100 on that because, like you said, nowadays, like compared to like the early 2000s, social media really wasn't a part of this whole football aspect. Like, of course, you got like TV, media, and stuff like that, but like now social media, where it's in the hands of everybody. Um, and just knowing that us as athletes are under a spotlight and like one little slip up, one little mistake during the game, everybody's talking about it. Everybody's bagging on you about it. And it's like something that sucks because like it's like I said, it's a mental thing and like you're looking at all those comments. Like you said, you just gotta block it out. And I agree with you, but nowadays it's much harder because like you could block it out, but since he was a top draft pick, he's got to deal with it like even when he's out in public. So it's just a whole mental aspect. And I just feel nowadays you just got to block out the hate and just like fill those areas in with love and just positivity.
Absolutely. So there's a wide receiver that we hear you're pretty fond of. Plays for the L.A. Rams,
Yeah.
Mr. Cooper Cup. What are your thoughts on him and what aspects of his game do you most admire?
So with Cooper Cup, he is one of my favorite receivers, not just after this year, but just like prior to that, because I knew he was overdue for one of these years because he was battling injuries earlier in his career. Um, but something I admire about his game is this. He actually made a tweet or like spoke on this was when it comes to speed during the game. He was saying it's nice to have it, but like I think it was like quickness is something that's like even better because like he's not your fast 4-4 type guy receiver. But once he gets in open space, he will get loose. And I feel like with that, that's something I could relate to because I'm not your fastest guy. I'm physical, but like if I get in the open field, nobody's catching me. So it's just him being able to get out of his routes quick, being able to catch the ball, track the ball down, make these crazy plays that we were able to see throughout the season. And it's just being a big fan of football and just being a receiver and seeing a guy that's in that position, like, okay, that gives me hope. And then let alone dude is from Eastern, I think it's Washington, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, sir.
Um, just seeing that it's like a dude that went to a smaller school, not your big D1, and it's like okay, like that gives me some hope because he's making a name for himself, and like he's allowing God to lead him, and that's something that like I try and do a lot of. So I admire him just because like the way he carries himself too.
So, I mean, you talk about that, it gives you the hope and stuff like that coming from a small school. Where are you with your football career right now? I mean, there's a lot of alternate leagues out there now. The USFL is about to start their first season. XFL next year. You got all the arena leagues and the indoor leagues. Where are you at with your career at this point?
Right now, I'm gonna be playing in Wichita with the Wichita Forest. Later on this month, about to
The
get my arena.
Champions Indoor League, I think that's called.
Yes, or the AFA. They joined up in the AFA, so about to get that started. And I just honestly feel it's a blessing because I know a lot of guys don't get the opportunity to play pro ball, and I feel this is like my start to my like pro journey, and I'm okay with that. And I was kind of bummed out with the whole USFL thing. Like, big congrats to a lot of those guys that got drafted. And I know I didn't see a lot of smaller school guys get drafted, so I'm like, okay. And I was talking to my agent, and I told him I was like, I'm bummed out in a way, but it is what it is. I'm just gonna go to Wichita, make a name for myself, like I've been doing. So that's like the biggest thing for me. Just go over there, play,
The
be a good
supplemental
team
draft still
player.
coming up. The supplemental draft still coming up for the USFL. There's still a chance, right?
Yeah, there's still a chance. But at the end of the day, I'm gonna just leave it in God's hands and just pray that whatever happens, happens. But I'm not gonna be upset with the outcome. Just I'm gonna be ready to work.
I mean, again, like we were saying with social media changing over the last 20 plus years, football has changed a lot because there are a lot of these, indoor leagues and USFL now the XFL. You got so many different
Hmm.
leagues that even in Europe, there's a whole bunch of pro level agent clients playing in European football leagues. We've had Coach Gabe Martinez on this show multiple times. He coached in the indoor league. I think he actually coached with the Wichita Force at one point. Um,
Okay.
and now he just got his first head coaching job, over in the Czech Republic, which that's a huge adjustment, move and leaving your family to go over there. But just talk about the fact that it's so whether you like it or not, I'm assuming you do, that there's so many more opportunities for you to get professional game film, professional opportunities and stuff like that, and what that means.
I feel that's honestly a big thing too, because like growing up, all I knew was the CFL and the NFL, arena ball, semi-pro. But as soon as I got to college, I was learning more about these overseas type leagues, all these other leagues that are made, and I didn't know about these. Like nobody taught me about them. None of my coaches mentioned them until like my junior senior year, and then I had two of my friends are actually playing overseas that are part of our agency. They're playing in Austria. My big bro Tyrone and Darrell, they're playing for the Garage Giants.
I've had Darrell on this show before. He's the man. I enjoyed that interview.
And so as crazy as it was, like I was talking to him, and he was like, honestly, it's way different over here. It's like a culture shock, and like the ball over there is like much. It's humbling in a way. So just seeing all these other opportunities, like getting film, is just a blessing. And just knowing I get the opportunity to play arena ball and just build some film up from there and just make a name for myself. I'm honestly excited and I'm just thankful for it.
So what is there a difference in playing wide receiver or playing at all in like the indoor arena leagues versus the traditional outdoor football leagues that you're used to?
I feel it's much different because one, you're playing on AstroTurf. The field is much smaller compared to like an actual field outdoors. Um, but honestly, I feel it's a little different but similar in a way. So this is my first time playing indoor, so I'm excited and I'm just ready to see what happens.
When does the Wichita season start, and when do you have to report to start training for them?
So I report at the end of this month, and our season starts in April. So just stay tuned with that, and just I'll keep you guys posted with how everything goes.
Gotcha. All right, so I got to get some basketball out of you because you posted something about John Morant the other day
Yeah,
about how great he's playing this year, and I actually think that John Morant would be much higher in the MVP conversation if it wasn't for one of our boys here in Philly, Joel Embiid, dominating the league like he is. Um,
man.
First of all, John Morant is an exciting young player. I'm not going to take anything away from him. But you need
Yeah.
to start posting some Joel Embiid highlights on your Twitter page. That's what you got to do because that man is dominating the NBA right now.
If I see some and like they're good, I'll comment on them because I know he's hooping, and then you guys got James Harden. Um, but just seeing what John Morant was doing, though, that was the crazy part. Cause like I was able to like catch some highlights of the game because I was working at the time, and I'm just like looking at it. I was like, this man had a buzzer beater, had a crazy dunk, just all these little highlights. I'm like, this dude is gonna be a problem later on down the road because he's even a small school guy.
He's got Memphis, the top four in the Western Conference right now.
But yeah, no, dude's a hooper, and I just feel his career is gonna be taking off like even more now.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Do you have a favorite NBA team out there in LA? Are you a Lakers
I'm a
guy? A
Lakers.
Clippers
I'm a
guy?
Lakers fan. I've been a Lakers fan since Kobe and those rough years where we had see, I can't even think of the roster. It was that bad. But I was with them during those rough years watching basketball, and it was hard to watch. And then in 2020 when we won in the bubble, and then last season, honestly, I'm like being a Laker fan right now is much hard because just how our season's going. But I'm still gonna remain faithful to the team and just trust what they're doing. So
I mean,
uh,
it's got to be amazing to have in your hometown there one of the top five, well, multiple top 10 NBA players of all time. First, you had Shaq and Kobe. Now you're getting to watch LeBron play in that city. I mean, I know they're having a really rough season this year, injuries and whatnot. But man, I mean, it's got to be pretty awesome to be able to watch somebody like LeBron night in and night out.
nah, it's honestly cool watching just the type of basketball he plays and the fact he's like 37 and still moving like he's 26, 27. And a lot of people don't like appreciate that right now. Like we're watching some great basketball from this dude, and he's only getting better with age, like with him getting older. But it's honestly it's cool just being able to witness that because like when I was younger, I was somewhat able to watch Kobe when he was still in the league. Um, but I like didn't catch like earlier in his career. I caught like the back end when he was rocking that 24. But it's honestly it's pretty dope seeing the type of talent we have here. Just hopefully we could turn it around. But
It's pretty awesome. It's pretty awesome. I love talking other sports with guests just get a little taste of who they are there and stuff like that. But anyway, let's turn it back to football and wrap this up
yes,
here.
sir.
you got, the season coming up for the Wichita, and you're training really hard right now, I'm sure.
Yes,
What
sir.
other steps are you? What else are you looking for? Because the indoor league's only what's that, like about an 8 or 9 game season.
Yeah.
Are you still trying to work very hard to get on? I mean, obviously you are, but are you still trying to get on the minds of the NFL teams, on the Canadian Football League, any other leagues right now? Or are you focused just on the indoor league and the USFL right now?
So, of course, the goal for us is to go up higher, to keep climbing the ranks. Right now, I'm just taking it one step at a time, not really trying to think too far ahead. Of course, I know the goal is the NFL, the CFL, or those higher leagues. Um, but me being a man of faith, I leave everything in God's hands. So right now, He has arena ball lined up for me, and so I'm just gonna keep on working, put my head down, prayed up, and just do everything I can to get ready for Wichita. Do what I can in Wichita, and just climb up from there. And I'm just excited to see what He has in store for me.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I
We're
mean,
super excited.
you talking about the Arena League. I mean, there was a guy named Kurt Warner. I don't know if you saw the movie, but
Oh,
he
I
played
haven't
in
seen the movie.
the old Arena League, and we all know the story of Kurt Warner. So it is possible, and I think that you have the drive and determination. Anything is possible. So keep up the hard work, and you will get where you want to be. That's the way I look at it.
Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
We greatly appreciate you coming on here, Hakim. Again, this is Hakim Williams Jr. He's one of the clients over at Pro Level Sports Agency. Make sure you check him out, prolevelaagents.com, at Pro Level Agents on Twitter, and check out Hakim. I think I might have messed up your Twitter handle earlier. Is it not HWJ_7?
So it's HWJ__7.
Yeah, because I was
So
just
it's two
clicking on it.
underscores.
I didn't do the 2 underscores, and it takes you to a blocked account. I don't want to ask that live on the air why that account's blocked.
No, it's all good. It was 2 underscores.
Yeah, 2_7. I'll fix that and tag the right account after the show. But again, Hakim, thank you very much for coming on. You got 2 fans here that are going to be watching some Wichita football later, in April to see how you're doing. So you better ball out for Trending in the AM.
Yes, sir. I got you, and thank you for having me.
Thank you. Get back to sleep. I can see the sun starting to come up just a little. You can see a little blue in the background there.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm about to go back to sleep.
Yeah. Hakim, have a great day and good luck.
God
And
bless.
keep us updated on how you're doing, okay?
Yes, sir. Have a good one.
All right. Thanks a lot. All right. So, again, Hakim Williams from, he's going to be from the Wichita Force of the Arena League there, the Indoor Champions League, the AFA, whatever they're called. They always have a different name, those indoor leagues. But it was a very fun, interesting, and enlightening interview. There, Jason, we've talked about it before with some of these other interviews I've done, just the opportunities that are now out there for these young football players. Before, if you did not make it in the NFL, you had the Arena League and you had Europe. That was it. But now there's 2 or 3 arena indoor leagues. They're all smaller, but they're still there. They still pay. USFL, you got the XFL coming back. There's literally like 5 or 6 opportunities in the U.S. alone to now play. And I think it's such a huge – it keeps kids like Hakim, it keeps their dreams alive. And if they have the fight and determination, the opportunity to continue their career and continue that fight to get to the top.
I mean, absolutely. I mean, you look at other sports, like obviously baseball has the minor leagues, like hockey even has a minor league, NBA to a certain extent, not the same, but obviously the B leagues. But yeah, I mean, it's great to have. I mean, let's face it, the more opportunities you have to showcase yourself, the better chance you have of, progressing and moving forward and being, I guess you would call it a promotion, going to another, higher league. But the bottom line is, it's obviously getting them the chance to stay fresh and still play in a because, training and playing in games are 2 different things. And I think the fact that they're able to continue playing games that kind of matter, that's huge. You can't quantify what that means to the, to their overall, career and where it might go.
Absolutely. So again, we tried to make a joke and bring up because, his highlight video, shows him a lot of him blocking and kick returning, special teams. There's even one clip in his highlight video of somebody else making a big catch and him running downfield and making big blocks down the field. And we're trying to bring up Jay Jaw and that. I guess he really didn't know who Jay Jaw was, but then it kind of transitioned right away into Jalen Reagor, and even him, a kid in Southern California that doesn't know Eagles football well, knows what's going on with Jalen Reagor with the Eagles.
Well,
And he brought up the mental aspect of it there and all. So I thought it was interesting that the Jalen Reagor story is, we make a big deal out of it here in Philly, but it's a big deal across the country because wide receivers know what's going on with Jalen Reagor right now.
Well, it's just so we can talk about it all the time. Obviously Ben Simmons is like the extreme level of it, but Jalen Reagor is definitely, nobody can deny that the guy has a physical talent. He made the NFL. You don't just make the NFL by accident. Right. Let's be real. The guy has talent.
He was a first-round pick or should have been a second-round pick.
Exactly. It could be a sixth-round pick. He has talent. The talent is there. It's not about, to me, I think the difference between people having success, and we talked about it a little bit earlier, or on a previous show. I think it might have been Tuesday. That, you have guys that have elite talent that kind of, not that they don't have to work at their game, but they have it easier. But then you have guys that have the talent, but they're not elite. Those are the kind of people that you have to have a drive. You have to have a desire. You have to have a want, and you have to want it more than your opponent. And if you don't have that attitude, you're not going to get better. And when you struggle, it's actually going to be counter effective, because when you struggle, you're going to be more in your head, because you're not at that level where you say, I got this. I'm great at what I do. Because it's one thing to say it, it's another thing to believe it.
Yeah, it's like I'm pulling up this comment from earlier from KC, part of Team DSM. You got to prepare the body and the mind. And that's, I think, what so many athletes that fail early in their careers, they prepare their body. They work on their pass catching skills, but they don't prepare their mind properly. And I think that's a big, big potential loss. That these guys, they're missing out on that aspect. And I don't know how you do that exactly. I don't know. Like I kind of commented saying, just cut out social media if you're in that stage of your career where you're struggling. But there's got to be more effort by these teams and these organizations, these coaches, these agents. Even the agents play a role. We see it with Ben Simmons and how the agents, could screw up a guy's career, because I blame Rich Paul just as much as Ben Simmons for that whole situation. And it's interesting that it needs to be more people working on these players' minds and not just their games and getting that paycheck.
Well, I think in a lot of cases, it probably does happen, but we don't see it. Like I said,
Sage. I'm not even going to star that comment.
I love it, Sage.
Yeah, no. Pineapples. Gross.
No, but honestly, I just think a lot of times you either have it or you don't. Like, I don't think you can teach desire. Desire is something that comes from within. Like, a lot of times, desire stems from, maybe there's like self-esteem aspects that come into it. There could be so many things that are going on in somebody's mind, but it's the same thing. It's just like, I've talked about my issues with, being in recovery. Like, and when it comes to addiction, like, somebody can be told till they're blue in the face that, you need to get help. You need to get help. But until somebody actually comes out and says and believes that they have a problem and that they need to get help, they're not going to get help, because it has to come from within. Like, we can preach it, and you're right. We do need to have coaches like telling people to go certain ways, but you can't teach somebody to want to get better. Like, that's either going to happen or it's not. And I think you see it with guys like Ben Simmons. I don't see it happening. Maybe he'll turn it around and I'll be a fool, but
we'll see. All right. So we got to go from one football, American football, to another football. The MLS, Major League Soccer, their season just kicked off this past week. And we got our man from DSM Media, the legend, El Parcero, Philly here. Good morning, El Parcero. How you doing today?
Buenos dias to you, my man. I'm doing great. How you feeling, Phil? And of course, we got Tracy Voorhees in the building.
Yeah, I didn't have time to wash my Union shirt from the other night for this appearance here.
It's all good, man. It's all good.
Yeah,
You
and I
gotta keep
don't
that
own
wash
any
for
Union
Saturday.
stuff.
Jason,
Soon
you got
enough.
to own yourself. You got to get yourself a Union shirt, Jason.
Is Parcero going to
No,
start making them?
If you're gonna
I would love to.
if you're gonna stop buying Phillies things, Jason, you got to start buying Union stuff because there
you go.
they're
It's
right
a
up
perfect.
there.
Great point, man.
They're right up there with the Sixers as the most exciting team in Philadelphia.
That's an excellent point. I'm going to take you up on that because I have stopped buying Philly stuff, by the way.
Yeah.
Exactly. All right,
Yeah.
so the Union season started obviously a couple days ago.
Yes, sir.
It ended in a draw. But
Mhm.
before we get into this season, I want to backtrack for a second.
Mhm.
Obviously a really rough ending, really disappointing ending to the season last year. Obviously, the COVID situation just took all the steam right out of the ship right before the title game there. So, with the coach and the way this team is, and it's a strong organization the Union have there. How much is that playing into effect on how this team's going to play and be motivated this season? Because there's a lot of same guys on this roster, this year.
Yeah, I mean, just from hearing Jim and just from hearing the guys talking about that situation last year. I mean, look, that for anyone, like even if it was like for the Sixers, for example, if that were to happen, it'd be so tough to kind of just forget it, right, and move on. I think what they've done this year is kind of redirected that energy and putting into this season. And look, that happened. That's a situation that you can't freaking control. But we got to come in here this season. We got to stay focused. And we had the opportunity last year to possibly win the MLS Cup. To me, it felt like, remember the 2018-2019 Sixers. Kawhi Leonard hits that quadruple donker, right? And then we all felt as if the Sixers were to beat the Raptors, we would have been able to beat the Bucks, and we would have been able to beat the Warriors that year. And I think Union fans felt the same way. We on paper had the better team than NYCFC. We definitely could have beaten Portland in the finals, but you got to put that in the past. And I really do feel like Jim and the guys have moved on from it. This team does look very similar to last year. The main difference is up top with our two forwards, our two strikers, as we call them as well. It's not a completely different room, but we've shipped out our leading scorer the past couple seasons. Kasper Shabilko had the most goals out of any Union player in the last 3 years. He's off to Chicago now. We bring in Julian Carranza, who's kind of a low risk, high reward type of player from a dysfunctional franchise in Miami. Kid had a lot of freaking promise coming from Argentina. And then you got Michael Ua. I'm just learning his pronunciation, but he's got a lot of expectations. It's not like James Harden hype, but there's a lot of hype surrounding this guy because of what he did over in Denmark. He was an absolute baller, to say the least. He brought back a promising club like Brøndby back to its promised land. They won back-to-back championships over there. He was leading scorer the past 2 seasons in Denmark, which is a solid country for soccer. So I think everyone is starting to move forward from that COVID situation, and we're feasting. We're looking for revenge. That's what I'm calling it. 2022. It's a revenge tour for the Union.
I like it. I like that way to go. So obviously, like we said, they started the season. Last week was it Saturday, Friday? I forget what day it was. But
Saturday afternoon,
yeah. So it wasn't the perfect start to the season against Minnesota. They got Montreal on the 5th, which is I just got back from vacation. My mind, I don't know what date is what.
I feel
don't
you.
even know what the day is. What is it? The 5th is Saturday, maybe? I don't know.
It'll be the 5th Saturday at 4 p.m.
5th on Saturday, 4 p.m. So, talk about this early part of the season. Few new players. Jim Curtin, obviously, he's one of the best head coaches in Philadelphia. Right now. It's odd to say. I watch some Union or soccer now. I've been to a few games in the last few years.
Nice.
He's the coach in Philly that I have the most one of the most confidence I have in coaches right now. Definitely more than the Phillies or the Flyers. I'm a Nick Sirianni guy, but there's still some question marks there. Jim Curtin's an excellent head coach. So talk about him and the early part of the season, what he needs to do to get that momentum moving in the right direction.
I mean, I think Jim, like at this point of his career, like he knows what he needs to do. The team knows what he expects of them as well. Just his journey has been remarkable. Coming from a youth academy coach, getting promoted, he got the interim tag, Mike Yo style. They impressed enough in that 2015 season. They brought him on till 2016. There was a lot of criticism early on. There was the whole hashtag curtain call, curtain out. Union fans were tired of him. but he just kind of stuck with it, and he believed in himself, and he had belief from the up top as well. Back then we had Ernie Stewart as the GM. Now it's Ernst Tanner, but he just got better every single year into what you're seeing right now. And I think for Jim, look, we all know he's a really good coach. He was the coach of the year in 2020. There are European clubs looking at him. I mean, FC Cincinnati were about to spend a boatload of money to just poach him away from Philadelphia. And so he said, no, I'm staying in Philly. I'm very content here in my hometown. But no, for Jim, I think more so what I'm looking forward to him is the continued expectation. And, obviously last year making Eastern Conference final, getting it past that. But there are some question marks on this team too. The one main criticism that a lot of people have seen from him is his lack of substitutions or not understanding his substitutions. Even like a guy like Anthony Fontana, who's no longer here, we all saw the talent that guy had. He could score goals from outside the box. He was really creative as well. Barely got playing time even last year. And 2020 was really the only year where he got consistent playing time. So the subs is something that everyone's going to keep an eye out. We have 3 really good homegrown players on this roster right now that are being looked at by Europe. That's Jack McGlynn, Paxton Aronson, and Quinn Sullivan. And it's really, I think what Uni fans are looking at is how he's going to mix up his substitutions and how he's going to implement those young kids, because those kids can really help us out. But as far as tactics go, playbooks for everyone who doesn't know what soccer is or doesn't really watch soccer, tactics similar to like playbook dissection. But his tactics are pretty simple. This is a German style of soccer that we kind of play, a 4-4-2 diamond. It's a compact midfield with a lot of high pressing. So what they like to do is they like to create turnovers and get on a counterattack, kind of how, like, when Ben Simmons was here with the Sixers, they would like to create a lot of turnovers and create a lot of points off of those turnovers, off those quick breaks. Similar with the Union like to do that. But now you got a creative midfielder here with Daniel Gazak, who's able to kind of pull the strings as that point guard. And then we'll see what these strikers can do, like I mentioned. But for Jim, man, it's just continuing his trajectory that he's been on and trying to get some of these young players to get to that next level, which a lot of these young kids have been able to do with this Union system.
I mean, you say you're calling it the revenge tour or whatever. You talk about the different changes to the team. I need the El Parcero unbiased report, not the fan. I know you're a Union super fan. The unbiased opinion on this season and what the expectations should be and how far they can take this team.
No, listen, unbiased, report, and a lot of MLS people will tell you the same. This is an elite team. Like, there's no joke. We literally, besides the Sixers, we have another elite squad in the city. And it's because of the structure this team has. But we just discussed Jim Curtin, but this is one of the best defensive teams in the MLS as well. When you have 2 solid center backs in Jakob Glesnes, who now people want to call Shoo. It's like going to Flyers games now. This guy gets the ball from deep back, right? Defensemen usually don't get goals, but now every time he touches the ball, everyone's screaming, "Shoo!" It's so funny. You got Jack Elliott next to him, and then you have Andre, one of the best goalkeepers in the league as well, if not the best. And then you have that midfield, like I mentioned, it's a compact midfield. It's so hard to get balls through that midfield. They suffocate the crap out of you. But the real question mark is the forward position. And even on Saturday afternoon against Minnesota, we struggled kind of moving the ball up and down, and there wasn't a lot of energy in general. But I thought Minnesota did a good job on their counterattacking. And so for the Union, the attack's more of the question mark, being able to move the ball with possession and getting those goals up top. Kasper Shabilko, as much as we love him, wasn't as aggressive as what we're hoping Michael Uwa is and Julian Carranza. And Chicago fans got a taste of that on Saturday, as he missed a couple of sitters and a couple he missed opportunities as well. But now this team is as advertised, but it's really they need to score goals at will, and that's really what we haven't ever seen from the Philadelphia Union. Like, this team has been good over the past couple of years, but being like an offensive juggernaut, something we've never seen. And now we're not really asking that, but score some goals, complement this great defense that we have, and I really do believe that what we have now with those forwards, it's really going to happen.
That's what I remember the most of last year. I remember the great defense. I remember Blake, excellent goalie. I don't remember much offense, and the few games I went to, I don't remember seeing many goals at all. All right, so this is a really important question to wrap this interview, this segment up. Jason, like me, huge baseball fans. Okay, baseball is going to be on the back burner for a little while.
A little bit.
We're pissed at baseball. And I've in the last few years been slowly starting to gain a little understanding and knowledge of the Union. someone like Jason needs something to fill the void. So the whole entire country needs to fill that baseball void. I keep saying it about the USFL and the Philadelphia Stars, but really it's about the Union and MLS. This is a huge opportunity for a league like the MLS. Take a step up, in the importance in this country. Like if you go to ESPN.com right now, baseball isn't along the top. You have to click the drop-down tab, and it's in the third tab on there. Soccer's in it's NFL, it's NBA, it's NHL, it's college sports, and it's MLS. So they've gotten bumped up to the main tab on ESPN. So this is a moment for you to sell Jason, but also what does MLS, specifically the Union, need to do to capture the fan base so that, we could give the big middle finger to baseball and say, we don't care when baseball comes back. We're going to fill that void with soccer right now. Because I think it's a huge opportunity for MLS and in Philadelphia, the Union right now, to capture the hearts of a lot of different people.
Yeah, listen, I look, you know me, obviously I'm keeping a close eye on the MLB lockout situation as well. I think the most important part for anyone who's trying to get into MLS, especially as someone who was a diehard baseball fan for their whole life, is to kind of go with it with an open mind. Look, for whatever reason, soccer never caught on in this country. The whole world is crazy about the sport, but for whatever reason, we're just not in this country. The MLS, it started off slow, and soccer in America in general has been tough. We've been through so many different leagues, but now this has been a consistent league that we can all rely on. And every single year, and I would say maybe since 2018, every single year this league has gotten incrementally better. And this new format of building, getting these young kids, whether it be the kids in your backyard or going to South America, going to Europe to find those next young stars, possibly sell them off to Europe. Europe will always be the pinnacle of the sport. Like that'll never change. That will be the NBA, the NFL, whatever you want to call it. But the big four in Europe, that's going to be the big. But what we want to see here is we want to see, number one, we want to see good product. And I think the product on the fields all over the country have been fantastic. Even the Philadelphia Union, like just that style of play. This city's crazy about defense. I argue with Sixers fans about the fact that I would rather trade Matisse Thybulle or Seth Curry because I want more offense. But the Union are a very strong defensive team, like we mentioned. But I think that for everyone who's trying to get in the MLS, going with an open mind. I mean, the stats speak for itself. Right now, the MLS is the fourth most popular league in America. It jumped the NHL. And now with what's going on in the MLB, it will jump them as well. But I think they have taken advantage of my generation, the generation after me. They've used the internet, and now in the next couple weeks, they're going to announce their new TV deal. There's going to be some streaming involved. I don't know what as far as cable is going to go for them. They already have a deal with ESPN and Fox Sports. But it's a fun, quick league. I think people do need to learn how to watch the sport. In America, we like to watch the ball too much. In soccer, if you watch the ball, you're literally missing the whole entire sport. Everything is happening around the ball. I think that's something that you can kind of see there. But to me, it feels as if like I'm watching college football, right? Like when you're a Penn State fan, you're watching Miles Sanders, Saquon Barkley doing their thing in the NFL. That's how I feel right now about Brendan Aronson Champions League. He's balling right now with Red Bull Salzburg over in Austria, and that's kind of how I feel. So it's a brand new product. It's fresh. It's new. It's getting better every single year. It's getting much more quick paced. You just got to learn how to watch the sport. And all I would say is, guys, give it a chance. Go with an open mind. I know the soccer stigma in America for decades and decades, but it's not going anywhere. Like, let's just put it that way. So you guys are more than welcome to jump on in.
But you know what's crazy though? Like you mentioned the soccer stigma, but I think the problem is, and this is just me speaking personally from not ever having played soccer myself. I think that's why there's a stigma. I think soccer is one of those sports where it's kind of a niche sport, like where a lot of times people have the wrong idea of what a soccer player actually is. Because in my opinion, I mean, Aaron, my co-host Aaron from Sports and Metal, his son is a superstar in soccer. I mean, I don't know if he'll ever make the MLS, but he's awesome, like phenomenal player. And so I've seen bits and pieces and highlight things and stuff like that. And I think a lot of times these guys don't get the just due credit for how great of athletes they are. Because soccer is an ongoing sport. It doesn't stop. That's the thing that's crazy. Like, think about it. Like baseball, you're up the bat and then you're in the dugout. and then you could have an hour-long inning or whatever. It's soccer. It's just go, go, go. And I don't think a lot of people get that. And I think you're right. I think if you actually can give yourself the time to actually watch it, you might be pleasantly not might. I think everyone would be pleasantly surprised. I think that's the problem. A lot of times people are just like, nah, I can't watch soccer. But like you said, once you start watching it, it's probably like an addiction.
Yeah, I mean, I always tell a story. I mean, the reason why I stopped playing soccer and I went to football as a kid was because I got bullied. And I got bullied out of playing soccer. And I was like, why are you still playing soccer? We're in 7th grade. Like, we stopped playing that like years ago. And I was like, oh, well, okay, Mom, Dad, I don't want to play anymore. I want to play football. And I regret that to this day. Like, I still get pains in my body from playing football for it was only like 4 or 5 years I played football. But it's definitely something, again, that it's just going to continue growing. And once you start kind of learning about it, and like you said, like you had your buddy, he had a kid who plays soccer, and I think that's what's happening as well. And I think the importance of the youth academy is really important. Getting those parents, getting those kids to buy in, getting kids to grow up as Union fans, and having those dreams to suit up in that uniform. That's what happens in Europe. That's what happens in Liverpool, Chelsea, all those clubs. Those kids grow up around that club, and then they want to grow up and play for that team as well. And it's going to happen. And we just need more media. Obviously, DSM has been really supportive of the MLS. I do truly appreciate that. But even like Boston last year, like the New England Revolution go on a historical season. There's not one mention of the New England Revolution. And we know that's a very passionate sports town. I mean, they win way too many titles that we would like to see. And so we need to continue seeing the media kind of showing the light. Don't listen to the fans. Just do it. Just do it. Just rip the Band-Aid off.
Love it.
Awesome. All right, so again, this is just appearance 1 of El Parcero this season on Trending in the AM. We are going to get you back on as the season progresses to keep us updated on the Philadelphia Union MLS and all that great stuff. But again, make sure you give my man at Parcero Philly a follow. Again, soccer coverage. He's a true 5 for 5. And
yes, sir.
We appreciate your time this morning.
Absolutely. Thank you guys for having me on. If you guys ever have any questions about the MLS, please do not hesitate to ask me. And of course, we won't do the recap this upcoming Saturday. I'm actually going to Maine right after today. So shortly I'll be heading up to Maine. So I'll be doing my best Phil impersonation, but it'll be a little more chillier than Florida. But
you won't be sitting poolside. You'll be sitting by an igloo or something like that.
That is true. But make sure you guys check out. We always do the Union recaps. If you guys want to start learning about the game, definitely check it out. But I appreciate you guys for having me on as always. And let's go Union. Dupe.
That's right.
Absolutely.
Dupe. Yep. Thanks a lot. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you guys.
All right. So I mean, another great interview. Like I said, Jason, you really got to get into MLS and the Union. And he touched on something that I wanted to address. Like, he addressed the talent and how over the last, 10, 15 years, the game has evolved. The MLS has gotten better. And I think that's what it is. Like, it's to kind of bring this whole multiple interviews on the show full circle. You got these side football leagues starting to pop up. And I had asked Dale Carlson on Tuesday about how do you get these leagues to be successful and not fold after a year or two? And he says the quality of the product. And MLS, the quality of the product 10 years ago wasn't as good as it is now. I wasn't a soccer fan. I became a soccer fan when I was traveling internationally for work on a cruise ship. International ESPN shows a lot of soccer, not football or baseball. They show soccer matches, the European leagues, all the different leagues around the world, where the quality is a little bit higher, at least 15 years ago, than MLS. And when I started watching high quality football, as they call it, all of a sudden my interest was piqued a little bit more. And I started to learn a little bit about the game and what he said about not just following the ball, looking at the whole entire, field and what's going on is so important because there is so much that goes on. You start watching a higher quality product, all of a sudden you get interested in it. And MLS right now is at its best it's ever been. So it's not like if you really give it a solid, 2 or 3 game stretch of watching games, you're going to see a pretty high quality product of, like you said, super talented athletes. Not, they're the most athletic athletes there are out there, soccer players. You might be pleasantly surprised.
I agree. I mean, like I said, I'm definitely not against it, and I will be checking them out. So I think plenty more people should and will, especially with baseball. I think you hit on it. I think it's the perfect time right now for them to kind of market it because baseball is
they're already marketed, but they need to bump it up. Spend a few extra dollars, and pumping that. Like I said, when I went to ESPN today to pull up the Union page, it's NFL, NBA, NHL, NCAA men, NCAA women, soccer. They're the top 6 sports. Then you got to click the drop-down tag, and then it's boxing, college, golf, MMA, NCAA football, recruiting basketball, tennis, X Games, CFL cricket, Little League World Series, NASCAR, Olympics, recruiting FB, I don't know what that is, WNBA, chalk, F1, and then Major League Baseball. I don't even know what recruiting FB means, and that's higher than baseball on their drop-down tab at this point. This stuff is not in like alphabetical order or anything. And that's how far down the list it goes. Baseball on ESPN has been bumped to the 12th tab.
Do you blame it?
This is an opportunity for MLS, bump it up a little bit, attract more fans. Like he said, like you said, the younger fans are getting into the sport more. I think we talked about on Tuesday when we were talking baseball and how, you know, the young kids today aren't going to Little League. They're going to the soccer fields. Keep pumping it up right now. And if you've never been to a Union game, Jason, go to a Union game. It is the most exciting, fun atmosphere. You got the Sons of Ben, you know, that group of people that sit out in the bleachers in the back there, and they just go nuts. And their chants and everything else, I mean, they pack that stadium every single night. It is the most exciting.
Oh, we have feedback there.
I don't know what that was. I don't know what happened there. A little technical glitch there.
What is good? We all right? Yeah.
No, we're good now. I don't hear it anymore.
I think it's my mic.
Yeah, who knows? There's always a technical glitch. It's all good. All right, Jason, we just did 56 minutes of a show here. Sixers had a huge win last night. We didn't talk about it. The NFL Combine is going on. Howie Roseman and Nick Sirianni spoke, and we did not talk about it. I'm proud of us. We stuck to our guns. We talked other stuff today, and I think this was a damn good show.
It was absolutely a great show. I mean, 2 great guests and lots of good content.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think tomorrow, Football Friday, we got another pro-level sports client coming on, a running back, Stephen Rucker-Carroll. He's going to come on tomorrow morning, talk a little bit, kind of similar to Hakeem today. We'll talk about his journey. We'll talk about football. We'll talk running backs. He's a running back. You know, we'll talk about that. And I want to get into, like, the running backs, you know, career, you know, time frame and how short it is and how you got to maximize that. And we'll talk about a lot of different things with him. Then it's Football Friday tomorrow, so we'll get into the Combine. We'll get into Howie Roseman and Nick Sirianni's comments from yesterday. But, yeah, I'm glad. The Sixers won last night. It was exciting. I didn't watch it. I thought we were going to have to spend 15 minutes talking about it, a game I didn't watch because I was in the air. But we didn't have to talk about it. We could just say the Sixers won, and they're still the most dominant team the last week or two.
I mean, another, 27 for Embiid, 26 for Harden? I mean, it's just like every game. And Maxey. I mean, Maxey had the big, fourth, second half. Like, yeah. I'm just how can you not be excited about the Sixers? If you're not, you're living under a rock. Like,
if you're not excited for the Sixers, do you even have a pulse? You just might want to.
At this point, yeah, exactly.
Say,
because it's like,
I didn't watch the game, and I just see the box scores and read the recaps. But all I see is Tobias slander, Danny Green slander. But yet we won again.
Once again,
and that's all I see is the slander. I don't see anybody talking about these other, Joel Embiid.
It's the Philly curse. People can never be happy with what they have. They always have to bitch about something else.
Dude, it's insane. It's asinine.
I mean,
I got on the touchdown in Philly airport. I turned my phone on. I checked the score, and then I go to Twitter, and the first thing I see is 10 tweets bashing Tobias Harris, and that's it. He had 14 points. He shot 5 of 10. He knocked down 2 of 3 from 3. He had 2 blocks.
Tobias Harris is having. Can we all just agree that Tobias Harris is having one of his worst seasons of his career? And that happens. It happens. But we got Harden. Who cares? Who cares if Tobias struggles again?
Like I said, all 5 starters aren't going to score 25 points a game.
What is the number one important thing in any sport to win? And the Sixers are 3-0 since they had
Tobias Harris actually said that yesterday before the game. He doesn't care about all that outside.
4-0 since acquiring Harden. And 3-0 since Harden's played. So shut up. Stop complaining.
Shut up.
Stop whining. Stop bitching about Tobias Harris. Stop complaining about the negatives and focus on the damn positive. Sixers in 5.
That's right.
Go!
Right. Trending in the AM right here on DSM Media. Live every day, 8:30 a.m. Monday through Friday. Make sure you check us out. Follow us on Twitter at DSM_media. Follow us on all social media platforms. Real quick before we go, I want to put this up on the screen here. I had an idea for a great T-shirt, and I'm going to share it on the screen. So there's two things. You can go to our T-shirt site. It's linked in all the shows in the bios of the shows, and came up with this idea. Scotty's friend Willie, he did the design for me, and it's the Sixers bunch, kind of like the Brady bunch. You got Daryl Morey, you got Doc Rivers, you got the starting five, you got Danny Green in there. So you can go onto our T-shirt site on tpublic.com. You can order one. I think they're on sale for $14 a piece right now. But I'm also doing a giveaway on the DSM Twitter page at DSM_media. If you like and retweet the post, follow me, follow DSM Media, tag a huge Sixers winner. Tomorrow morning on the show, I'm going to give away one of these shirts. So make sure everybody heads over to the DSM Twitter page, enters this contest, and make sure you do all the things. Look, we do these contests. If you want to win, you got to follow all the steps. You got to like and retweet the post. You got to follow both DSM and Bearded Knowledge, and you have to tag somebody. Right now, I think there's only like 4 tagged people. So everybody's liking and retweeting it, but only 3 people have tagged people. So follow the instructions if you want to win this really kick-ass Sixers Bunch T-shirt. I'm going to give it away tomorrow morning, 8:30 a.m. right here on the show. Tune in to see if you win. And also on my Twitter page, I'm doing a contest on our Fairway to Heaven, our golf podcast. Okay? I'm doing a contest on there. If you want a chance to win $1 million, okay, here's the contest here. So on DraftKings, they do it just like in football. There's a millionaire contest every single week in golf. If you go to the Fairway to Heaven page at Fairway to Heaven _. This is at the top of the page. You like, retweet this post. You follow the account. You follow myself and Jason Sullivan. Tag your favorite golf partner. Tuesday night, March 8th, during that show, 9 p.m., I'm going to buy your entry. It's $20, $25 into this event. But again, you got to follow all the instructions. And it's a great golf podcast. You learn a lot of stuff. You got to do all the things. We got 14 retweets on it. But there's only 3 tags going on in this one, too. So make sure you're following the instructions on these contests. Make sure you do all 3 things. But that's a chance to win a great Sixers shirt, a chance to enter a free golf contest on DraftKings where you can win $1 million. I don't know why you wouldn't enter it. So get into those accounts. Go ahead, follow them. Do those things, and let's continue to grow DSM. I'm waiting on my Harden jerseys. They still haven't gotten here from China. I will be giving away a Harden jersey on Trending in the AM as well. There's going to be rules, but I'm going to give away a Harden jersey in the coming week or 2 or 6 years, whenever it gets here from China. Anyway, make sure you follow Jason at Mustaine3651, myself at Beard A Knowledge. Again, brought to you by Manscaped, the leader in men's grooming products. Check them out. Manscaped.com. Use promo code DSM. I've got my sound effect board here today, Jason, back, so you can play it. But I know you already shouted it once, but what do we say now?
Sixers in 5.
Sixers in 5.